Stephen's here, business, starting with Greece. Do we always start with Greece? I have that impression.
It's just especially for you.
Thank you. Hopes of a deal to avoid the country going bankrupt still looking remote, aren't they?
Yes, well, this is after the German finance minister poured cold water on the country's chances of getting the last 7 billion of its bailout loans anytime soon. Wolfgang Schäuble told an audience in New York that nobody expects there will be a solution before next week's meeting of European finance ministers. The Athens government is trying to agree on a list of economic reforms with its EU partners in exchange for the money. Without it, Greece risks being unable to pay its next instalment to the International Monetary Fund that's due on May the 12th. This all coming as the ratings agency Standard & Poor's downgraded Greece, saying its financial commitments were unsustainable. But if we've learned anything from the Eurozone crisis, there always seems to be a last-minute deal in these cases. We will still hold out hope.
And no doubt we will report that as well. What's happening in the markets then, Stephen?
We'll start here in Europe. Shares generally opening down here. We've had a series of announcements in the past couple of minutes from the French oil company Total. They're making some changes to their refinery operations. They're going to close a refinery here in France that's going to cut around 180 jobs. They're also investing 600 million euros in its other refineries. Its shares still trading up slightly in Paris this morning, though. Diageo, the drinks company, their shares down over 2.5% after its results. They were hit by changes in currencies hurting their business. Over in Asia, Chinese shares trading up, this after the growth figures we were talking about yesterday. They were disappointing, the lowest in 6 years, but that means that investors are hoping for more stimulus in the government. You can see the Shanghai Composite there is up over 2%.
Now, the issue of the minimum wage in the United States is back in the news as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is after low-paid workers in the United States staged another round of demonstrations seeking an increase in basic pay. Some 60,000 workers took part in protests organised by the Fight for $15 campaign in some 200 cities across the US. This comes after companies including McDonald's, Gap and Walmart raised the minimum salary for their workers. Shirley Sitman has more.
It all started here in New York City 2.5 years ago. Fast food workers protested for the first time for a $15 minimum wage. Now they're joined by thousands of airport, construction, education and childcare staff. And their fight has spread to many more cities.
So 236 cities, fast food workers are on strike. Then we have strikes going on in another 123 cities outside the U.S.
U.S. federal minimum wage is at $7.25. Protesters are demanding twice as much. They also want to be able to join or create unions to defend their rights.
I'm fighting because I can't live on poverty wage. McDonald's is a company that makes billions every year, and the workers are living on poverty wage.
Several states have raised the minimum wage, and 2 cities, Seattle and San Francisco, are setting it at $15. President Barack Obama has already signed an executive order forcing companies with federal contracts to pay employees a minimum of $10.10. But he says that at Congress, some have blocked a bill that would raise the basic hourly rate for everyone.
The problem is Republicans in Congress don't support raising the minimum wage. Some even want to get rid of it entirely.
Increasing salaries may not be the only way to help low-wage workers. On Wednesday, as protesters marched across America, Barack Obama promoted a program that may help them by cutting their taxes.
Let's move on next with a look at some of the day's other top business stories. Shares in Netflix jumped by 11% after hours after the company announced it added almost 5 million new customers in the last 3 months. The online streaming service now has more than 60 million subscribers worldwide, 2/3 of which are in the United States. Netflix got a boost in the return of its political drama House of Cards and the introduction of comedy series like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. The recovery in the European car market is speeding up. The European Automobile Manufacturers Association says that new car registrations jumped by almost 11% in March. Spain saw the biggest increase, with registrations up over 40%. And a federal judge has ruled that General Motors won't have to pay out on dozens of claims over faulty ignition switches because of being bankrupt. The decision protects GM from lawsuits over cars produced before the company exited its bankruptcy in 2009. The switch fault, which caused cars to accelerate, is linked to more than 80 deaths.
Now, finally, I know this, you know this, Stephen knows this as well. There's no such thing as a free lunch, especially if it's with the boss of Apple.
Yeah, this is a charity auction. It's offering the chance to have lunch with Tim Cook. Now, it will also include 2 VIP passes to an Apple keynote speech, but it's definitely not a free lunch. The current latest bid is for $155,000.
Ooh.
The money's going to the Robert F. Kennedy Centre for Justice and Human Rights. Tim Cook has a track record of drawing crowds for these sorts of auctions. In 2013, an auction for a coffee with Tim Cook closed at $610,000. So if you trade off between coffee and lunch, I think you've done quite well.
I think you probably have done quite well. Do you think you'd turn up and all he'd be on the desk was an apple? That'd be it?
It'd be very depressing. I want to know how much that people would pay for lunch with you, though, Stuart. You probably get
about 50
you probably get all 3 of us for a tenner.
Yeah, exactly. You probably would, you're right. Thanks, Steve.